Are you thinking of dropping out? Let me tell you a story of how my mom pulled me out of the 7th grade and it changed my life for the better. Forever. That's why I'm calling this channel Daniel Dropped Out after all. Because that moment shaped my life. I was growing up in North Carolina like most any other kids, and I went to a rigorous magnet school. That's like high school level work in middle school starting at 12 years old. And it was too much for me. I burned out. I was so stressed. This is how you know that you need to leave or you need to do something else. When you're so stressed out that you're just absolutely miserable, you're burned out. You got to follow your intuition. If you think you should drop out, you probably should. And it's scary because I lost my social network. I lost most of my friends. But the interesting thing is, I had one friend who made it a really big point in his life to stay friends with me. And that meant the world to me. I did everything with him. And eventually I started my first musical band with him. And he was so special that he got a basketball, because he knew I loved basketball, and got the whole 7th grade class to sign it, and then gave it to me as a present after I had left school, to show how people cared about me. And this is what in life we forget, that sometimes people take us for granted. When you're always there, but then when you're gone, you know how easily it is to remember what they did for you and all the greatness that they gave you. And when you're young, your social market, if you will, is very strong, right? We're all in the market for friendship. I had someone explain this to me, that when you're young, it's so much easier to make friends because you're kind of trapped in the same school, right? But the thing is, it's not real. It can become real, but it's not real until it's the real world and it's the outside world. That's when you find out who your real friends are. And so I kept developing my friendship. But you see, I was unschooled. My mom took me out of 7th grade because she'd heard about unschooling. And a lot of people don't even know what that is. That's homeschooling with total freedom. No tests, no curriculum, no grades. And I didn't even know what to do with myself. For the first 2 weeks, I literally stared at the wallpaper because for my whole life up to that point, it had been programmed what to do. Even time at home, I had to do a lot of homework. Every single moment of every day was programmed. It was always get up at this time, get ready to go to school, get home, do homework, watch a little TV, go to bed. There was never any dull moment for me to ask of myself what I loved in this world and what I really cared about. And that was the best part, finding out what that was. Because after a few weeks, I got bored. And that was the best thing. Absolutely the best thing. Luckily, this was before the age of digital distraction, just before, kind of. It was just coming on. YouTube wasn't really that big yet. And what I did was I just downloaded all this music on LimeWire, this P2P way to get free music back in the day. Just download all these classic albums, Jimi Hendrix, Neil Young, Nirvana, Bob Dylan, all the greatest, musicians of all time. and I just listened to music all day. I know that's crazy, right? But I fell in love with music because it's a universal language, and it's a way to teach something or tell someone something or relay a certain emotion or experience to someone without actually talking about it. You know, there's so much subtlety in every song, emotion, there's so many layers, all the instruments, how they come together. To this day, I think it's so beautiful. I love music so much. And so I started to ask my mom for a guitar. She bought me an electric guitar, and I started to write songs. So I didn't write songs yet immediately. I got a few lessons, and then I fired the teacher. I was like, I know enough now. I can get going. Now I'm going to, carve my own path, pave my own road. And that was the best thing. By taking charge of my education, that is what led to being unconventional, to being one of a kind, to being unique, special, and being able to grow my talent. Because I have this theory that if you remain in an authoritarian, top-down model where you have no chance to discover it is who you really are and your passions and everything you want to do with your life, at a certain point, your drive or your curiosity gets killed. And I think it happens around the age of 13, where kids just kind of submit to what life is and they give up. And after that happens, it's like that rebelliousness dies. After that happens, you really can't get it back. And for me, I wish I'd actually been taken out of school a year earlier, because I feel like some of it got killed. And I notice it in myself sometimes where I just want to veg out all day, watch YouTube, and it's a struggle to not just do that, when you can. But I'm starting to, meditate more and allow myself to be bored and figure things out. And it's a process. We're called autodidacts, self-directed learners. It's a lifelong journey, education is. You're always challenged to learn new things, grow, be a different person, develop emotional intelligence throughout the entire life. Through relationships, having to learn how to be a good partner. If you choose to go down the parenthood hole, you learn how to be a parent. And the only thing that really teaches you how to be in this world is life, real life itself, the real world. Not school. School is not the real world, because you wake up in the morning, it always starts at the same time. In real life, does everything always happen at the same time? No. In school, you do reading for 1 hour, math for 1 hour, science for 1 hour, social studies for 1 hour. Is life like that? Absolutely not. And you probably forgot most of what they wanted you to learn, because it was just information. And you didn't need that information, so you didn't use it for anything else other than school. And then you left, and after a short amount of time, you can't remember that information anymore. So it was useless, and it was a waste of time. But it was actually designed to make you into a work slave. Someone who shows up at the same time, does the same repetitive tasks, doesn't ask questions, isn't curious about life. That's what they wanted to create when they put you in that school, in that system. And don't blame your parents because they just didn't know any better, because a lot of parents, they get put into that same thing and they think that that's the way that kids should be raised, and they just don't know. But when you leave the systems that bind us, you realize that we are all meant to be so much more free than that. We are meant to fly, my friend, brother, sister. We are meant to go out into the world and do something completely new, something completely different. Maybe move to another country. Maybe invent a new language. Maybe invent a new technology that the world needs. Maybe do something we've never even thought of before. Something completely out of the box that I don't even have words to describe. In a way, that's how music is. It's completely out of the box. There is no way to describe how a song and what it means in words. It goes beyond words. Same with poetry. It's using words, but to go beyond words, to make your mind think in a new way. And it lights up different parts of your brain, and that is one of the best things in the whole world. That's what I've fallen in love with, and that's why I'm a poet and a musician, because it's the most exciting thing ever. It's so cool. It's so fun. And it's beautiful. And it's a way to fall in love with life even more, to see things from different angles, to reframe things. So I ended up being unschooled and having this freedom. But my mom didn't even stop there. She said, you know what, how about you get an internship with a nonprofit? And you know what, we're going to trust you to get on a plane and a train to go up to New York and to learn some new skills. So I went up and worked for this nonprofit. They gave me a room and board. And then I just worked on some video editing projects and website editing projects. So I learned some new skills. I got to travel a bit. I got to go to Russia and talk about unschooling at the age of 16. I got to go to the first school that really made alternative education or freedom in education popular. Back in the 60s, there was this book called Summerhill that got really popular. And so I got to go to Summerhill in the UK on the way to be a rock star and give a keynote speech in front of 5,000 people in Moscow, Russia. They'd never even heard of unschooling. They don't know about unschooling in many parts of the world. You know, we take a lot of the freedom that we do have in the United States for granted. But you shouldn't. And if there's a way that you can get out of school and really start your life, really go down the path that you really want to go down. Because here's the thing. If you don't do that, you're wasting your life. To become a businessman or a soldier or a fast food employee or a druggie, man, all these things are a waste. The only way to not waste your life is to follow your heart, to follow your passion. And consider learning how to meditate so that you can really focus your mind and learn how to hone your talent. This is what I've decided to do. And this is why I'm calling this channel Daniel Dropped Out. So if you're along for the ride, subscribe, come along. It's going to be fun. I'm in Vietnam right now, of all places. Next, in a few weeks, I'm going to Thailand. Then I'm going to Indonesia for a few weeks, and then I'm flying to Fiji, and I don't even have plans after that. Because life is a big adventure, and there is a big world out there with a lot of people doing a lot of different things, and you don't need to trap yourself or feel confined to live in a certain way. What I practice is morality. Be a good person. Everything that the Buddha practiced. Sila Samadhi Panya. Sila, be a good person. Do good things. Help other people. Feed people. Help people. And Samadhi, develop mastery over your mind. Learn how to meditate. Panya, develop wisdom. Only through life's most difficult experiences can we develop some of the best wisdom. If I could go back in time and talk to myself, the self that just had gotten freed, had just gotten free from this school that I was forced to go to, I would have told myself to be patient, but also to be excited. Be patient and allow the nothingness to arise. It's so hard because we live in an age of constant stimulation. YouTube, everything you want to watch is right there. Just type in whatever you want. But if you allow negative space in your life, if you de-school yourself, deprogram yourself, then something else arises that's much more organic. The version of yourself that's the real you. Only through challenge and hardship do you get this version. When we go out in nature and backpack and go hiking for weeks on end, this is another way that people get there. We need the wilderness inside of us through meditation, and we need the wilderness outside of us through nature. And we need to believe in ourselves. You need to be confident in yourself. Because school, it beats you down. It doesn't breed confidence in you. And the grades they give you are completely meaningless. Does it matter now that I'm out in the world that I got an A in that math class? No. Doesn't matter at all. That's ridiculous. Certain things matter in the real world. One of the things that matters in the real world is how fast you can adapt. AI is coming. All this new stuff is happening. The unschoolers, the people that think on their toes, are going to be the ones to make it out first because they're used to that. They're presented with a problem and they have critical thinking skills to deal with it. When I'm traveling, often small problems arise. I don't know how to speak this language. I don't know how to convert this currency. I don't know how to do this or that. But because I'm an unschooler, because I'm an autodidact, I instantly diagnose and can solve most problems. But some people, they get bogged down over time and they get flustered and they can't handle it. So be a critical thinker, be a problem solver. This is one of the ways that you can get by in the world and develop new skills. I have so many skills because I didn't go to school. I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. I got my CDL. I was a truck driver for a while. I can do a little bit of plumbing. I can do a little bit of carpentry. I built my own house. I'm handy. I can make music. I can busk on the street with a guitar and make money. I can busk with a typewriter as a poet and make money on the street at farmers markets or events and weddings and stuff. I can create my own reality. anything I want to do, I can make it happen. That's my mindset. And you can too. But you have to believe in yourself. And you have to leave school. So much opens up when you do that. There is so much addition in subtraction, isn't there? When you subtract all this stuff that's bogging you down, that's weighing you down in your life, you gain so much. So that's my advice. Drop out. Yeah, your intuition is correct. Follow your heart. Follow your destiny. Not the destiny that someone else tells you or anyone else tells you, not even your deepest loved ones. Follow what's inside you and run as fast as you can.